Texas is rolling out the red carpet for Cam Coleman. We've got the latest intel on a few new offensive line targets in the portal. It's coming up on Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you, everydayers, for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're, of course, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. And as always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving a comment. So thank y'all sincerely for that. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. It's day 2 of the portal, and we've got the latest intel surrounding your Texas Longhorns. And we'll start today's episode with an update on the top-ranked player in the portal, former Auburn wide receiver Cam Coleman, who is currently in Austin visiting the University of Texas. It goes without saying, it is a great sign that he is here. Any visit to Texas would have been great, but the fact that the Longhorns were his first visit and the fact that on the very first day the transfer portal officially opened, Cam Coleman was on a plane to Austin, Texas. Yeah, very, very good signs. Multiple reports out there are saying that the Longhorns are doing everything that they can to land a commitment from Cam Coleman before the weekend is over. They don't want him taking any other visits. I don't want him taking any other visits. Let's get this thing done here and now. That is the primary objective for Steve Sarkisian and the Texas coaching staff. That's the primary objective for me as well. Of course, money is going to be a big part of the Cam Coleman recruitment. We're talking about a guy that's projected to make upwards of $2, maybe even $2.5 million wherever he ends up. But the Longhorns, number one, have the money. And number two, they're pushing more than just money in this recruitment. They're pushing quarterback play. And Arch Manning was one of the best quarterbacks in America down the stretch of the 2025 season. We all saw what he did against Michigan on New Year's Eve, but it wasn't just that Michigan game. The last 8 games of 2025, Manning went 7-1, 21 touchdowns to just 3 turnovers, responsible for more than 2,300 yards of total offense. He beat 2 playoff teams. He had 5 ranked wins down the stretch. I mean, he was fantastic. And if you look right now at the 2026 Heisman odds, Arch Manning at the very top of the list. He was one of the best quarterbacks in America down the stretch, and he will go in to 2026 as one of the best quarterbacks in America. Think about what Cam Coleman has played with in his 2 years of college football. It's pretty incredible the numbers he was able to put up with Peyton Thorne and Jackson Arnold as his primary quarterbacks at Auburn. Just imagine what he can do with real, consistent, legitimate quarterback play from a guy like Arch Manning. Next year is a contract year for Cam. I mean, he's been a 3-and-done guy from the moment he stepped foot on a college campus. He puts together a great 2026 season. He's going to be a top 10, potentially top 5 draft pick in the 2027 NFL draft. And there's plenty of money involved in that too. So obviously, Cam Coleman thinking about how much money he can make in his final year of college football, but he also wants to position himself to be a very high draft pick to make a bunch of money at the very beginning of his NFL career. That is a pitch that Texas can make. You know, Texas A&M and Alabama, 2 of the other schools that have been linked to Cam Coleman. Marcel Reed's not as good as Arch Manning is. If you don't believe me, go watch the game those 2 guys played against each other a few weeks ago. Alabama, Ty Simpson's leaving. I saw what Austin Mack looked like in the Rose Bowl against Indiana in the second half on New Year's Day. I don't think Alabama can make that pitch. There aren't a lot of teams across college football that have a quarterback as good as Arch Manning returning in 2026. And I've been told that quarterback play actually matters to Cam Coleman. So that is a pitch that should resonate. Again, Texas rolling out the red carpet for Cam Coleman, hoping to get a pledge this weekend. We'll see if we get some great news from the number one player in the portal sometime today or tomorrow. Moving on, how about 3 offensive line names that the Longhorns are reportedly interested in? 2 of them are guys that Texas saw in Orlando on Wednesday. Hey, Texas and Michigan spent a lot of time around each other in the days leading up to the Citrus Bowl, right? It's not a normal game where the traveling team gets there the day before kickoff. Texas and Michigan both got to Orlando the Friday before the game was played. All of those pre-bowl events and practices and activities, a lot of time that the Longhorns and Wolverines got to spend with each other, and an opportunity for Texas players to maybe do some peer recruiting. Obviously, Michigan has a new coach. A lot of guys might not want to stick around. Texas has a lot of things going for them right now. So you understand why maybe a couple of Wolverines would be interested in making the move to Austin. The first Wolverine we're going to talk about, Andrew Sprague, 6'8" tackle, started every game during the regular season at right tackle for Michigan this year. He did not play in the Citrus Bowl against Texas, but this guy is very good. Former top 100 recruit in America. And maybe the best part about Andrew Sprague, he was a redshirt freshman in 2025, meaning he has 3 years of eligibility remaining. So unlike Cam Coleman, who's a rental one and done, Andrew Sprague has to be here for at least 2 seasons and can be here for more than that. Was a starter on a very good Wolverines offensive line this year, and he can still be developed. That is an awesome combination right there. Sprague was named All Big Ten honorable mention this year, allowed just 1 sack on 329 pass block reps this season. Sounds like there is a very good chance he ends up at Texas. I saw a report earlier this morning that says the Longhorns are the front runner for Andrew Sprague. 6'8". I think I mentioned that, but played at right tackle. Texas obviously has its right tackle, Brandon Baker, set to return next fall. I wonder if the Longhorns would consider moving Brandon Baker inside to guard. There's a lot of people who think that Baker could be better moving inside. A lot of people feel like long-term that could be a better spot for him, both in college and in the NFL, should he get there. So maybe that's what Texas is thinking. I mean, Sprague at 6'8", I don't think that guy's moving inside. So that could be part of the plan for the Longhorns offensive line under Kyle Flood if nothing's official yet, Andrew Sprague ends up signing with the Longhorns. The second Michigan man here is a guard, Jake Guarnera, 6'4", 311 pounds, another guy who started for the Wolverines, started 11 games for them at right guard this season. Could the Longhorns do the double dip on Michigan? Texas owns Michigan, 3-0 all time after that Citrus Bowl win. Now we're taking their players too. Kind of nice. Guarnera was another guy who was Big Ten all Big Ten honorable mention. Easy for me to say. And another guy with multiple years of eligibility remaining. Not as much smoke to the fire there, but I have been told that Texas is pursuing Guarnera. So there's a chance that Texas is able to steal 40% of the Michigan starting offensive line. These aren't just backups or depth guys who are disgruntled with playing time. No, these are guys who probably would have been starters for the Wolverines in 2026 had they stuck around. Coaching change, they hit the portal, and they could be making their way to Austin, Texas. The final name for this episode, another offensive lineman, this guy not from Michigan. He spent the last few years at Wyoming. Luke Sandy is his name. 6'2", 304-pound center. So we had a tackle, we had a guard, now we've got a center. According to Pro Football Focus, Sandy was the second highest graded offensive lineman at Wyoming this fall. And we're still waiting to see what Texas does with Connor Robertson, who took over as the starting center down the stretch. He did walk on senior night, but he does have another year of eligibility. I thought he played well enough for him to at least get consideration to return to Texas. So we'll see what happens there. Some more intel on Luke Sandy. He was not a full-time starter. He lined up for 174 snaps, so he played a decent amount, but he was a guy who would spell Wyoming's starting center for a drive or two. He wasn't the primary guy. I'm not sure if a G5 backup makes sense. And unlike those other Michigan offensive linemen, Luke Sandy only has 1 year of eligibility remaining. So he's not a developmental guy. I don't know if Texas should be trying to go after a G5 backup in a win now type of year in 2026. but we will see what happens. That's just the name that I was told that Texas is pursuing. To be clear, there is a long list of offensive linemen that Texas is currently monitoring and evaluating in the portal. Already a bunch of guys there, but more guys will be entering in the not too distant future. And it does take time for names to show up in the portal, right? When a player tells a team that he intends to transfer, the team, I think, has 48 hours to put his name in the portal. So it takes some time for some names to pop up. So I think there will be a few more offensive linemen that show up that the Longhorns will be at least monitoring. So there you go. The latest on Cam Coleman, the latest on offensive line recruiting. It's day 2 of the transfer portal, in Texas is all systems go, trying to add to their 2026 roster. We told y'all they'd be active. It's happening. Hopefully we get some good news throughout the course of the weekend. All right, that'll do it for today's episode. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you very much. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, share, rate 5 stars, leave a comment, all of those great things. You do that, I don't get fired. I really do appreciate y'all's continued support of Locked On Longhorns. This is your transfer portal headquarters. We've got you covered. New rumors, new reports. Obviously, if anybody commits, we'll have breaking news right here on this channel. But that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.